Welcome, friends, at the Yoga Sutras. Today I'm commenting on 221. Tad artha eva drishyasya atma. All appearances are here for consciousness. As you abide more strongly in awareness, as you start witnessing appearances, witnessing perceptions, witnessing sensations, not from this identified stance, like I'm witnessing my sensations, but always knowing that you can shift your perspective into the space of awareness, simply abiding as awareness and witnessing all these appearances from the space of awareness. When you do that and you start doing that more often, there is a detachment from appearances that naturally happens. And also, you become more and more interested. That also happens naturally in what actually is witnessing. What is that spacious awareness? And you start also starting to actually come into contact with your non-locality. You're starting to expand yourself back into your true essence, into your boundless nature, into what isn't the mind, what isn't a localized focal point inside the space of awareness, and you become aware of your spaciousness. It's one of the first things that actually happens is this widening back and this becoming aware of your spacious essence. In my courses, it's also like this. It is that this is part of the first experiential knowledge that you have from coming into contact more with spacious awareness, is your own spaciousness, is that this awareness, what is alert and aware, isn't actually found in the body, isn't localized. You cannot pin it down. What you can pin down is the mind and the localization of distinct sensations, perceptions, etc. But what is witnessing it, what is aware of it, is non-local. It has no boundary. It doesn't it doesn't hold this. So you come into contact experientially by doing that with your own spaciousness. It happens automatically. And what you also come into contact with is that this world arises in you as awareness. You become aware that all what is the world, what is form, all that is perceivable, like all these forms are perceptions arising within awareness. Your body is a perception arising within awareness, a sensation arising within awareness, an emotion arising within awareness. And as you come to know this, and you automatically expand yourself into your boundless essence, you also start to experientially see this, how the world arises in you as consciousness. And in this sutta, he says all these appearances, everything that arises, this whole world is there for consciousness. It arises within consciousness and it is there for consciousness. It is for you as consciousness, your own exploration, your own coming to know yourself. Or, as Patanjali stated earlier, for your own experience slash enjoyment, and to realize the self, to realize that which is behind all these appearances, that which is boundless, that which is unaffected. And these two things for you to know. The first is that all is consciousness. All is arising in consciousness in you. You are consciousness, and this world is an exhibition of consciousness. Or you could say, if you want, you are that divine, and all what arises is also God, or is also divine. And that's when it also becomes helpful for your life. All appearances come out of you. This whole duality comes out of you as consciousness and is there for its own learning, for its own exploration. The moment you place yourself into your mind, the moment you become localized, you have this great opportunity to perceive distinctly through your eyes, to have your distinct journey, to have your distinct set of whatever you feel, whatever you think. And that's your distinction and your chance to localize yourself as consciousness, as awareness. But you also have the chance to step yourself farther back and just abide as awareness and to see more from that spacious essence that you are, that isn't affected, and to come to know not just your focalized, localized standpoint, as beautiful as it is, and the distinct experiences that come from that, but also to find that spacious essence that is unaffected, that actually sees from spacious awareness, which means it isn't entangled, it isn't involved, it doesn't hold an instant judgment, it doesn't hold an instant reactivity to what is arising. And that's obviously very, very helpful because a person, the localized, focalized mind, only knows operating from mind body, from what it knows, from what it has learned, from what it has experienced, from its culture, from its conditioning, its background, its learning, its knowledge. Awareness doesn't respond. It just perceives. It just sees. It is the seeing. It is the seer. It doesn't hold this. To find this experientially and to let that infuse your life and to have less of that reactivity and come more into knowing that whatever shows up as life is for consciousness. It has its purpose. It has its meaning for learning. Even this wisdom, that it's not all about you. It's not all about you. It is about the learning of everyone. Sometimes we don't understand what happens in our life. It is for your learning, but also for everyone else's learning. And the more you are abiding as awareness, the more there's also this allowance. It's just, it is already allowed. Awareness it is just happening. It is just happening and just being witnessed. And that's all that it actually then is. And then there's also more of an allowance for everyone to have their distinct experience, their distinct learning. Sometimes that's very, very difficult for us as persons. Each one has a because of the mental filters, has an idea how life has to be for someone else, or the experience has to be, or what would be actually better for them according to us. But to know that the less you actually interfere, the more people can have those experiences that they are seeking on a deeper level, seeking to learn from, seeking to grow from, seeking to understand, to become aware of. And as you abide stronger as awareness, you're and become aware of your boundless nature, the more you will see that experiences, even of the wider collective of people that you know of, um, that they are sort of washed through your awareness very, very quickly. There is a quickening that happens to experience. There's often a quickening that can happen actually from one person or one being abiding stronger as awareness. It is just that this is then heightened. Awareness becomes heightened, and through that there can be a huge quickening of karma, quickening of experience, quickening of understanding, quickening also of what wants to be illuminated by awareness, what wants to be understood, what wants to be learned from, what wants to be found, and so trajectories can also quicken. It doesn't always mean that there is a resolution. Our hearts always want resolutions for people, resolutions for conflicts, resolutions for things. I think that's a beautiful quality of the heart, actually, of the human heart. But awareness can also accept if there's no resolution, if there's just if it is just what it is. It is you coming into contact very, very experientially with that can be with everything as it is, as it shows up, as it displays itself, without the resistance or the reactivity that is usually connected to it. And so to like always come experientially into contact with you as consciousness, you as awareness. All of the sutras are pointing you actually to that. It is the deepest dive you can make in this life, and it is that door that opens you to your true boundless nature and to the experiences many people are actually seeking in all sorts of ways to get into touch with that boundless, divine, limitless essence, that unaffected essence of theirs. And there is a door, and that's just by you coming into touch stronger with awareness itself, with beingness, with that that isn't affected with that doesn't hold subjective stance. And once you do, you can experientially come into contact with these findings, that the world arises in you, that there's nothing outside of you, there's nothing outside of consciousness, that you are that consciousness rather than what appears. This is your expression, and it obviously holds value. Yeah, that yes, a body sitting that is talking to you. It has value and is necessary, but also always to remember what is your true nature, what isn't bound by conditioning and ideas, opinions, what can watch from this larger space. And also to know, like always, when you are suffering or when it's difficult, it's challenging, whatever it is, to know it arises from consciousness. It isn't always to be understood by the limited faculty of the mind. It cannot always be understood, but to trust, to come into stronger trust that this arises for itself, for you, in your benefit. How often is something happening in one's life and you think, oh, this is horrible. Why is this happening to me? Does this have to happen? Do you really know? You only see it from that perspective, limited perspective, also of that moment. You localize yourself. You localize yourself continuously, not just spatially, but also in time. You have to localize yourself. At this moment of time, I don't like this at all. Doesn't seem suitable to me. Doesn't seem good for me. Doesn't seem necessary. Can this not change? Can you trust and open yourself to that? And this is something that those of you that are abiding as awareness or that are meditating more often and that are simply observing appearances, this is something you can tremendously also benefit from. It is to simply observe and witness, inclusive of all of your own stuff, your own emotions, your own reactions, your own sensations, your own perceptions, your own thoughts. There is something prior to, always already here, that is witnessing all this, aware of this, un, un, unaffected. Sometimes when things are really, really difficult in our lives, when people have very, very challenging situations, you actually, oftentimes, there is this split moment that people, even if people are not meditating or witnessing or abiding as awareness or knowing what is beingness, but for many people, there is this split momentum that they are in this situation, they are in this, they are responding or reacting or whatever it is. And there's always also, usually, an awareness of something that is only witnessing, something that seems somehow bigger, something that seems somehow watching you. Well, what is watching you is you. You as consciousness, you as awareness. And these moments are precious because you already know that there is something there. If that ever happened to you, you know there is something there that is prior. You know that there is something there that is unaffected. you know that there is something there that isn't that person. And to come into touch with that. And to know all what arises is consciousness. All that arises is God. All that arises is you as the divine. Not always as the person, not always what the person thinks this is how it's going to be like, but how your divine self already knows it is going to be like, for a distinct exploration, a distinct understanding, a distinct learning. And that learning is also, again, not just for you. It is a learning for a moment of time, a learning for many people, a learning for everyone you are in touch with. Just also to know this broader, benevolent essence that you actually are, that comes already from a more universal space, even if that's not yet what we are interested in, but it is a universal love that shows up through you, through your life, and everything. You are already an expression of that. So the sutra says everything, all appearances arise for that consciousness, out of that and for that. And that is you. It arises out of you, your true nature. And it is for you. You as consciousness. You as everyone. You as all appearances. Thank you so much for listening, and namaste.